Bonjour. This is Chinoden, and this is just a random video that I'm doing. It's one of my interview videos. I don't know, maybe I'll have an interview section, an interview playlist or whatever. But before I get started, I got all my links are in the description: Facebook, Twitter. I got my RevShare programs that I am participating in. My paying crypto ads, and then my paying ads. You can sign up under me, and Bitcoin, and a couple wallets that are free to donate if you so choose. If you like what we're doing here, if you want to fund this project. Okay, so what I've got for us today, I got you guys have been seeing these jets, spraying all this stuff in the air, in our atmosphere. What a lot of people are wondering is, what is that stuff? So we're going to take a look at some snow samples and some water samples here. And I got my good friend here, Robert West, and we're from the Crandon area. I was born and raised on the reservation, and he's got a daughter from the res. So what he has done is brought us some samples, and so he's taken it into an independent laboratory to get tested, and these are what we are seeing here from the snow. So here, Robert, why don't you take this away and tell us what we got going on here.
I'm going to take you back into 2013. I originally learned about chem spraying back in 2011-12 when it was first brought to my attention. I started noticing it above my home down there in Rome, Wisconsin. I later moved up here to Crandon, Wisconsin, continuing researching this chem spraying and just noticing a lot of things going on. But spring of 2013, I was over at a buddy's house the night before. There was still a lot of snow. Most of it was gone, but the big banks haven't melted yet. Anyway, I left. I stopped at his house the following day, and when I stopped there, as soon as I pulled in, I got out of the truck and I walked over to him, and he's like, "Hey, remember this big snowbank that was right here?" He goes, "This sucker melted in one day." I was like, "Yeah." And I walked over and I looked, and I saw what looked like, I don't know, a real thin sheet of glass or saran wrap where the snowbank was. It was really strange. I went over and I grabbed a stick to touch it. I knew about chem spraying, and immediately I was thinking to myself, that this must got to be what's in our air. It's in the snow, and it's obviously now that the snow's gone, this is what's left. Just a quick thought. So I grabbed my camera and I documented it. As you can see here, we're zooming in on it. You can see how it looks glassy. Almost, it's kind of webby, or like webs, but it's not. It's really brittle. Like I was saying, when you touched it, it would just fall apart. It wasn't sticky or anything. It was just really thin. There's a part coming up here where you'll see where it looks like glass. Bear with me here a minute. Just kind of look at this stuff, get familiar with it, and just remember this is 2013. I noticed a heavy assault starting in 2011-12. They look like fibers. It almost looks like webs too, but it was just real glassy, like right there. See how that looks? There's no web or there's any marks in it. It just looks like a sheet of saran wrap or something.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was really brittle. You'd touch it and it would just fall apart. It would disintegrate, disappear.
Yeah, it's like it kind of looks like I don't know, man. Let's continue further.
So anyway, I noted this. I tried getting some samples. It was really hard. I tried getting a spoon underneath it. I did get some samples, but I eventually lost the samples. I had to. I was going through some tough times, and I was moving around a little bit. But coming up next year, let me see if I can speed this up. Here we go. 2014 come around, and I was keeping my eye out that spring as the snowbanks were melting, and this is what I saw here. I used a stick, and you can see this stuff it's more like cobwebs. It's not cobwebs, but it's real fluffy. It's different. It kind of looks the same. It's got the holes, as you can see the holes. I don't know if you remember seeing the holes in the first video.
No, what do like the people that you've been talking to? What do they think this is? Like, they seen this stuff on the ground? And like, people that aren't understanding what the chemtrail thing is. What are they telling you, like, certain theories that what they think it is, like their opinion of? I mean, yeah, I mean, you can literally. I've seen this. That back then too. Like, I noticed that too.
Well, I was mentioning it to people. I was telling them, and they noticed it too. And a lot of people were passing it off as snow mold. And that was the big craze on the internet that I was seeing, snow mold, and I'm just sticking to my guns. I know it's not snow mold. This stuff is actually in our snow. Just watching it melt and keeping a close eye on it. That's where these holes would appear, where there would be a big snowball, and all of a sudden it would melt, and you would have that hole. So I'm watching it. It's in the snow. I'm just real sure of it, and I'm telling people, and they're kind of looking at me cross-eyed like I'm crazy. No, that's snow mold. And I'm like, whatever, dude.
I don't know. What exactly is snow mold? Like, define snow mold. Where does it come from?
They were trying to define it on the internet too. I heard all sorts of excuses for it, but obviously they didn't fly with me. It was just obvious that it wasn't snow. But this towards the next year, I after seeing this in 2014 and 13, I'm like, all right. I eventually got a thought before the winter of 2015. Well, I'm gonna pile a bunch of snow up on purpose, shovel it all winter long into an area. This video here is 2014. You can see as the snowbank's melting, this is where the residue is is showing itself. It's right next to the snow, so it's obviously showing itself that it's coming from the snow. When it rains or moisture or whatever, it makes the stuff disappear. Especially when they make it rain, it just washes it away. It just disappears.
Yeah, because I've noticed this cleaning windows. I've noticed, like, within the last 3 years. Yeah, it's been pretty wild watching the development. And like, I've been seeing stuff in puddles, like this metallic sheen on the top of the puddles after it rains and stuff. And I've been wondering, like, wow, like, and seeing these jets spray this stuff, like. And now what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about what is in this. We have some information for you guys. That's what we're going to look at. That.
So this 2015, I built a new deck that summer. So I shoveled all the snow off the deck into a pile right here. As you'll see here too, we'd get wind off of the lake, which kind of helps. So if there was chem webs around, everybody was calling them. So I figured, they would land here too. But I piled the snow here all winter long, just so I knew I could, if this stuff was in the snow, I'd be able to get some good samples. And I was right. I mean, you'll see how thick it is here. It's so thick that there's no webbing to it whatsoever. I did see the webbing in other areas, but because of what I did here, you can see how thick it is. Here I use a stick again. Love sticks. But you can see how I'm getting some nice samples. It just peels right off. That's how thick it is. I mean, I was proud of myself. I did a good job. So I saved some samples. I collected it. In a minute here, you'll see the next day where some more of the snow melted. And it's still continuing, leaving this goo. And at the same time, we were getting rain too. I think the day after the following day, after this day I'm showing right now, it did rain and washed it away. Here, let me see, speed this up a little. Here it is the next day. You can see how thick it is. But now I'm going to take you down here to the side of the bank where there's very little water associated with our snow too, but what melt we did have, you can see all the stuff right up here. But look at this. Here you can see the webbing coming. It's in the snow. It's not underneath it. It's not snow, so it's not snow mold. Not people would argue that snow mold grows underneath the snow before it melts, and that's when it exposes itself. But here you can see where the water had run through and melted the snow above. See, and you can see the webbing coming out of the snow up above the trail there.
So now I know there probably is a lot of people that will stick to their guns on it's snow mold or whatever, but I mean, look at this video. Like, it's in the snow. It's not under the. It's in the different layers of the snow. It's in layers because the snow obviously doesn't fall in just one layer. It like piles up, right? Accumulation. Yeah, you can look at that. It's in the snow. It's not under the snow. Snow mold doesn't grow in the snow. It's because of the ground and the snow and the wetness and like, yeah, you know what goes on with mold and that stuff. So,
see the webbing coming down.
And you can even see like,
it's right up here on top. I got some photos. Sorry, I don't have them in.
hold up, pause that. Like, I mean, look at this stuff right here. Look at this line of nastiness. Like, look at this. Yeah, just look at all that.
Now, there was water running through here. There was so much stuff in the snow right here. It didn't even wash it away. It washed most of it away, but as you can see in 3 different areas, there was the webbing that was left that didn't get washed away.
So if it sounds all kind of weird, like we're like kind of cutting off sentences and stuff, because I got one microphone and we got 3 people here, so and my fiance is here with us as well. So let's just hold on before we continue. Look at like right here. Just look at that. That's not natural. Like, what is that? What is that stuff? I don't know, man. So we're gonna take a look at what that is. We have the data, the actual real life data on what that is. Like I said, Robert sent it into an independent certified lab, and it cost what did you say, $100?
Yeah, it was $100. I have tested for all the metals. We're sure that there's other material in this stuff, but for the metal part, yeah, we got some results on that.
Hi. I remember when snow used to be fluffy and packable, and we could make snowballs and make snowmen and play in the snow. And now looking at this reminds me of how the snow really has been over these last few years, really icy and sleety almost all the time. It's
Real sloppy.
Yeah, it's slick to drive in. You don't want to send your kids out to play in it. You can't make snowballs. You can't make a snowman that sticks together. And now seeing this footage here, it makes sense why.
Okay, so now we got this is the coal fly ash and snow residue comparison. Obviously, the coal fly ash is the black, and the snow residue is the red. Now, as we can see here, there are 3 key ingredients in coal fly ash that aren't in the snow residue. And why is that, Robert?
Well, we at the time this is a 2015. These are the test results from the last video clip where I shoveled all the snow and I was able to get some good samples. Um, I sent it in, had it tested. It kind of made its way around the internet, um, and somebody caught. It was sent. It was sent to somebody, and he took these results, and he went searching for something in comparison, and what he found was coal fly ash was very close in comparison for the ingredients, for what I had collected and how I collected it and the amount and what have you. So the dry weight base showed these results right here, and as you can see, you can look at all the patents that are in chem spraying, and it has all of these ingredients in it as well. But we're gonna work our way up to something here. But I want you to notice something right now, that the coal fly ash is in black. And the snow residue is in red. So as you can see here, the snow residue is missing antimony. It's missing boron, and it's missing tin. So there's 3 ingredients that are missing out of the results, year 2015. I'm going to play this video, but just remember that that we're missing 3 ingredients.
What for those of us, well, I know what it is, but for those out there that don't know what coal fly ash is, what exactly is coal fly ash?
My understanding, obvious, it's coming from coal power plants. It's the waste that's left over after burning the coal. They use it for fertilizers. They say it's good for our soil, which I tend to disagree with that, but they use it.
I think we all could probably disagree with that.
Yeah.
Toxic coal fly ash.
My understanding, the roots and all the plants are absorbing the arsenic and what have you, and but anyway, you can take it.
You can see it on the tops of the pine trees mostly. If you come, I mean, anywhere they're spraying this crap, you can see on the tops of pine trees. You can see in the leaves of the trees itself. Like if we have a nice, beautiful maple tree in the back, and I was seeing that its leaves had these like what is equivalent to sores on like a human skin. You know what I'm saying? On the leaves, and it was it was just. It was kind of messing me up inside, so I was just like, man, this is really messed up. And then when I saw this, Robert had this, and let me see here. Let's go to.
I gotta finish the question.
Oh yeah, I gotta finish the question, but we're gonna go to like we're gonna lab results, so that those of you who are skeptic out here, like, oh, you guys just made that chart up. Well, we're gonna look at the lab results too. So.
While he's looking up the lab results. I did a little bit of research. I didn't do a whole lot, but I found out also that coal fly ash is used in concrete products, clay products, and also they there's whenever you have a building sinking, it's in wet ground. They'll in order to stop it from sinking, they'll pump it in underneath the building. To dry it up, turn it into concrete, so it's used for that. I heard that they can even lift buildings with it, which I thought was kind of neat. But so it absorbs moisture, kind of keep that in mind too. So if this is in our snow and we're not seeing a spring, if you're used to winters and maybe you're as old as I am, you remember in the springtime you'd have to have rubber boots. In the springtime, because there would be water and mud everywhere. It was a very difficult time every spring. We don't have that anymore. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of water associated with our snow melt.
So would you say that they're doing this more in areas that have the change of seasons, that have a winter and a spring, to where they're spraying down chemicals in an area that we're going to just think it's snow?
Were you asking me a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was trying to help him find something.
We're focusing on the finding the right lab results. Ask your question again, please.
Well, I'm just asking if this spraying is happening more in areas of the country that receive an annual snowfall and a change of seasons to where it kind of blends in and the residents don't really notice that it's being sprayed down because it's coming down in snow and it's sitting there for a while, and by the time the snow melts it's already dissipated into the ground. Do you find that this is happening more in parts of the globe where there's snowfall is what I'm asking?
If they're spraying more, yeah. Well, yeah. It.
Kind of the camouflage for it is what I'm saying.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's a can. Well, it could be, but all I know is that they're creating winter, so there's obviously a lot more flights.
We've always had winter.
Yeah. My understanding is my understanding is in 2000, for some time now, as we're reaching 2012, reaching this galactic center that we're in right now, the temperatures of the planet were supposed to be the same all the way around. Is an understanding that I have. But now we're having winters that are chemically nucleated. I don't quite understand. They're just controlling the weather. They're playing around with it, playing God with it, I guess you could say, as well as poisoning us and the land. You know, I think the main agenda is just to poison the land, poison the people worldwide. You know, a depopulation program. Everything else is plausible.
Right. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
A friend of mine in Texas, he says that he hardly ever sees them spraying down there.
right. Well, right on the like.
Seeing a lot more, you know, because they're creating snow.
Right. And what I seen, like, 'cause I watched Standing Rock, like, from the dog bites. When I heard that happened, I started like really watching, and then I found Myron Dewey and Dallas Goldtooth, and I what we seen there was they were actually spraying at night over them, like, constantly. Oh, so there's exit. Yeah. So yeah, they were constantly spraying. To go back to that video, right? We got there. Is that the right ones? But yeah, they were constantly spraying them, and a lot of the people went in and found rat poison in their hair.
Really?
Yeah, and the thing that they called Dappelkoff, that was from the rat poison. Then there was saying something about 40,000 pounds of rat poison were found near, I don't know, a cannonball. I'm not sure. I can't remember how that exactly went, but okay. So this is the right lab results. So as we can see, we got no antimony there. No boron. And
this just goes with that chart.
yeah, it goes with the chart.
Most people can't read this right here. But
Right, for you
know.
guys out there who know what this is telling us. I mean, just look at these numbers, and it's kind of disturbing, because I mean, to have that much aluminum and arsenic in our air, I mean, that's, are you kidding me? Come on.
Parts per million, or
Milligrams.
I'm I can't even read the chart. I'm very glad that that the chart was made with the one we showed you prior. We can go back to that, because like I said, most people can't read this. You'd have to be a scientist.
And let me just disclaim that none of us are professionals. We're just regular people doing some investigative. I mean, like, we're just observing, man. We're just being observers, and this is what we do. Like, oh yeah.
We're just showing it everyone.
We're just showing everyone.
I've been collecting over the years, and we're leading up to something. I think you'll be satisfied once we reach the end here.
So what our goal here is, we're pointing out the problem, we're showing you the data, and what our goals is to eventually show you what the solutions are, and we have to tune into the solutions.
We're tying in some. What we're trying to do here is try and tie in some visuals for everyone. I got some more video and pictures coming up here where you can see some pretty amazing things that we're finding in nature that's been on the news here, just to show you how bad things are really getting with this aerosol spraying, how it's affecting our rivers, lakes, streams, and the land.
And the animals and all our animal brothers and sisters out there, man, they're suffering because of this. They don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Their crops, we're being poisoned daily. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. But 2016, I was working, collecting more samples, obviously. Leading up to 2017, I collected some more samples. I have those results also, but we're gonna skip that. Just a month ago, I was watching, but we've been doing it. So everything's staying. All the test results are staying consistent with coal fly ash. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry. Yeah.
There's a lot to say here. There's just so much to go through, and we're trying to keep it within like an hour, and that's not. I mean, we might go 2. I don't know.
But all I've had numerous tests done with things found in the water, in the snow, in the rain, foam. A lot of foam that I found on lakes, rivers, and streams. But anyway, everything's staying consistent with these coal fly ash results. But recently, I want to show you a video right now. This just come out a month ago on Dane Wigington, geoengineeringwatch.org. Dane Wigington. I think I spelled his name wrong there. But what he's going to talk about here is something he found in the Seattle Times. I'm going to let him explain.
That's in Leona, Wisconsin. It says right there.
I'm going to let Dane explain what's going on here.
Let Dane explain. Make a new show called Dane Explains. He should just change it to that. Dane Explains.
But here he is right here. Turn this up here. But just listen to this for a minute. And then we got a lot more to show you. A lot of video, a lot of pictures.
It's extremely important as it highlights the level of insanity of those behind the curtain, the shadow government. It reveals just how far off the rails the train is at this point. The headline is this: coal ash, this is coal fly ash, quote, why in the world would we be importing it? This is from the Seattle Times. To give some background on this study, previously peer-reviewed study that's been rescinded by those in power, by a nuclear physicist named Marvin Herndon. I know Marvin, and I salute his work on this area. His testing of precipitation samples that showed the same chemical signature as coal fly ash. Precipitation samples below heavily sprayed geoengineered skies. As I've disclosed also in previous broadcasts, these same materials are conducive for ocean iron fertilization, another form of geoengineering that causes the oceans to uptake more carbon, further acidifying them, as I covered earlier in the show, and killing them eventually, but hiding the amount of atmospheric CO2 for a while in the oceans at the cost of killing the entire planet. So when these studies showing a chemical signature in precipitation that was very close to coal fly ash, indicating that coal fly ash is likely a base material being used in the climate engineering operations, because we're talking about an unimaginable amount of material. Stated goal by geoengineers like David Keith to put 20 million tons of this material in the atmosphere daily, and the amount of material it takes to cause global dimming, the amount of direct sunlight no longer reaching the surface of the planet, the amount of material it takes to cause a 30% global dimming is unimaginable. The amount of material it takes to change soil pH values, in some cases 10 to 12 times toward alkaline, is unimaginable. The amount of material it takes to block, in some days, 60 to 80% of solar power PV uptake is unimaginable. We're talking about huge amounts of material. Why would they use coal fly ash again? Because it gives one, plausible deniability. They can just simply blame all this contamination on coal-fired power plants, which are bad, no question, but the amount of particulate matter in the atmosphere far exceeds anything that would be mathematically emitted from these plants. It has to be coming from another source, and that source is climate engineering. So it gives them plausible deniability, and the elements are conducive to other forms of geoengineering like ocean iron fertilization. So why would the U.S. be importing this toxic contamination from other countries? We have to ask ourselves, don't we? So we can blame it on China, perhaps. We can blame all the pollution, all the atmospheric particulate fallout on some other source. Scapegoating, again, as I mentioned earlier in this show. From this report, with the headline, Coal Ash, Why in the World Will We Be Importing It? Shipping containers full of coal ash from China, Poland, and India have come into the U.S. through the Port of Virginia and other ports, as foreign companies find a market for the same industrial waste that American utilities are struggling to dispose of. Quote, we have millions of tons of this sitting along our riverbanks, said Travis Blankenship, former government affairs manager for the Virginia League of Conservative Voters. Why in the world would we be importing it from other states and countries? Because that chemical signature, if some of this is mixed in, can give some sort of plausible deniability for the true source of this contamination being sprayed into skies all over the globe as a base material. Again, there's likely many processing additives going into this material as it's then utilized and dispersed in our skies. But ask yourself, why would our government be importing toxic coal fly ash from other countries? Final headline to consider, is it too late to save Earth?
Okay, so seems like a lot of doom and gloom, you know what I'm saying? And well, there's some solutions to it which we'll get into. So
Well, you heard it there, but like I was saying, the results from 2015, 16, and 17 this year have all stayed consistent with the coal fly ash. And then the reason I played that video is because this just come out a month ago in the Seattle Times. You know, why are we importing it? You know, and we obviously see them spraying. So I just wanted to throw that in there, but I want to continue here with that 2015 where I was pulling that goo up. This right here is a picture of it, what it looked like after I collected what I collected to have tested. There is some grass in here, but you can see right here that, you know, this is that goo, coal fly ash, whatever you want to call it. I was playing around with this stuff, and I've learned a lot about Morgellons, where there's pink fibers, black fibers, blue fibers. Let me back this up here a second. Here, what I did was I took a couple pieces out, and I was just playing around with it, and I put it in water. I just wanted to see what it would do, because it was gooey. I let it dry up. I just wanted to see if it turned gooey again. And as you can see here, it did. It gooed out. It's actually kind of clear, really weird looking, but when I was playing with it, it felt like silicone. It was just really weird. But anyway, I left it in the water for a few days and let the water evaporate out of it just to see what would happen. And right here, all the water's gone, but it's not quite dried up yet. What I find interesting here is the next picture, where when it completely dried, it's separated. That goo spread out away from everything, and the color intrigued me too as well, which I'll get to here in a minute. But after I'm going to show you right here, when this stuff dried up, you can see a black web. You know, it created its own little web line here, it looks like. Got some color over there. You can see some real fine line here, kind of pink in color. And you can notice this here. That's definitely pink. This is a very familiar thing I've seen in some Morgellons documentaries that they find. But, you know, they're the fibers that I've learned about in Morgellons, so it's struck me as interesting.
So I will post the link to Morgellan's video. Hold on, pause this. I will post the links to that video in the description. You can go watch that. You need to watch that. That tells you everything about what's in this. And we're talking like they're talking like the smart dust with the little tiny like nano chips. Yeah, Morgellons actually explained, the video is called, and it'll be in the description, so you can go check that out. And we'll have some other links in the description. But I mean, we got these fibers, these nanoparticulates. You understand? And basically, what it's called transhumanism, and they're integrating these nanoparticulates into our biosystem, and it's actually oh man, it's turning us into like living androids basically. But there's things that we can do that will help us be immune to this. But anyways, so as we see here, uh, man, tell us what we're looking at.
Remember that color that in the samples that I just showed you had that where that goo separated away from the crusty stuff. The color of it, it's like a tan colored. You can now, like these creeks here. I grew up out here, and this is a creek way out in the woods that flows into the Wolf River, and this used to be clean, clear water. But you can find this anywhere in northern Wisconsin now, where the water looks like tea. I just associate, just from playing around with the samples I collected. Coincidentally enough, we'll say I found some fibers in there, a pink one. I'm not saying it's Morgellons, but kind of fits the description. But anyway, here we got our waters here. I'll show you a few more pictures. That it's just tan in color. I mean, look at that. It just reminds me of what was in my samples when I was playing around with them.
So what exactly is Morgellons? Like, I mean, just give us a short description so that they know when they go watch the video what they're looking at. I mean, we're explaining what's in it, what we're looking at here, but
I think it was 2010, 2011 a report. Yeah, they started. That's when Morgellons came around. It started being talked about, started being investigated. And what they're finding is this blue, pink, white, and black fibers growing underneath people's skin. Some people are getting psoriasis, what the doctors are calling psoriasis of the skin. But they're finding fibers coming out of those sores. If you watch Morgellons explained, you'll have to make up your own mind after watching it. But it looks like it's transhumanism, like they're changing our DNA. But you'll have to watch the video. There's other videos that have cures, like I was saying a minute ago. But this here is some snow water that I collected winter of 2016. I put it in some bottles. I collected it, let it melt, and I put this in here. And within a month of it sitting in there, you could see this stuff floating on top of the water. This here picture, I used a flash where it shows everything up pretty good. The next picture, I didn't use a flash, so you can see that the stuff that they're spraying is translucent, so it reflects color, it's harder to see unless you got some light on it. I've done that a few times. I think this next picture, this is without a flash. This is towards the end of this experiment. You can see all that green on the bottom, but with a flash you can see what almost looks like nanometals in here. A close-up of this, you can see pink, green, and purple colors in it, and a close-up of it.
And it kind of almost looks pixelated a little bit.
Yeah, that's the metals that are obviously in the atmosphere in our precipitation.
Yeah. So we got a beaker here. What is this?
During this experiment, there was a needle from a pine tree laying at the bottom. It just happened to end up in there. It was right down here laying sideways on the bottom. But over time, I don't know what happened here, but the stick eventually was lifted up off of the off of the floor bottom here and kind of grew legs, and you get this. I have better pictures of it, but not in this video clip here. But it's attached here. This is kind of a clear tube. This thing kind of grew with what looks like wings, but just real interesting that this black goo in here actually move this stick and it was just interesting watching this. It grew a little air bubble over here.
Excuse us, we're gonna pause this video real quick, actually. All right, we're back. So, and then, oh, okay, so let's back up here. So we got the stick guy. Okay, so this thing, like, when he posted these pictures, he posted this with the chart, and then he posted it with the lab results, and then these pictures of what we're looking at here, and what it seems to be is that these fibers and these nanochips, these nanoparticulates, are actually integrating in with biological mass, bioorganic mass, and what it seems is that it's actually starting to grow together and make a being of some sort. So, I mean, that's what it looks to us. You're seeing the pictures, and if you saw it in person, or I don't know, you'd say I don't know, you'd say different, I guess. I don't. Do your own experiments. Do your own experiments. That's all I'm saying. Is go get a beaker and do your own experiments next time it snows, or if it doesn't snow, I don't know, just put some sticks in some water in a puddle or something.
But just playing around with this stuff has been kind of interesting. Just playing with it, like I said, here it formed a bubble, and this bubble stayed there during the rest of the duration. It wasn't there in the very beginning. In the very beginning, it was two little bubbles, and then they formed one bubble and then turned into that thing. But you can see the well water here looks just fine. Back up here for a second. But interesting little bubble. But you can see the well water is doing just fine. It's not turning green at the bottom or anything. The snow water is. I noticed another thing too of this green here in the bottom of a lot of these, like on Highway 8. You know where that beaver pond is going down in the valley?
Yeah.
This spring, I got some pictures of it. But as soon as this ice melted off the top of it, and it's not as deep as it used to be, but as soon as the ice melted off it, the whole bottom had this real green glow to it.
Yeah,
it was. Did you see that?
I've seen that before. Not in that one in particular, but I've seen that before.
So I don't know. I kind of see this green here, and I see the green on. Yeah.
Here, hold on. We'll be right back once again. All right.
But you can see the water here looks fine, and just remember that green. You can look around for this green at the bottom of some of your lakes. Near where you live, I'm sure you'll see it. Just a weird looking green. Got this black stuff. You can see that bubble there. It almost looks like a silicone bubble. But here the water's almost gone, and and just as I expected, it's turning into the goo like I found on top of the grass, 2015. Here's that bubble, but you can just see it just kind of separated there. I don't know, it's just weird.
Hold on, slow that down. Let him check that stuff out. All right, so that's some nasty looking stuff right there. And that's that's the stuff that was on, like you said, on the grass, like after snow melts. And oh God, what is that? We know what it is. We just showed you. I mean, that was just what the metals that you got tested for, and then what else could we test for?
Inorganic materials.
Which some would be unexplainable, obviously, and then what are others that could be in there possibly?
Well, in that video, Morgellons actually explained, you'll see under a microscope a lot of the other materials that they found in this stuff. And I'm sure that's what's in here. And it's a goop. It's coal fly ash, too, on top of it, with silicone. And, just it's a mixture of a lot of stuff. And strikes me funny. Sometimes I don't know why I mention this, but, I learned the average person consumes about 3 pounds of dirt a year. We got all this stuff in our air. So how much are we consuming of this every year?
If you just take a look at the ground, it's just saturated with it. If you dig into the earth and make a hole, you can see looking at it like a cross section, you can just see it just saturates into it. And out in Mole Lake right now, there's a giant puddle on the side as you're coming into Mole Lake from the south, and what it looks like is it's not soaking into the ground, and it looks like it's just actually absorbing rather than soaking, absorbing into something, and it's this layer of this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Another thing too, I grew up here, and we do a lot of mud running and have our old trucks and what have you, go 4x4 and four-wheeling, and 30 years ago, boy, you'd have some pretty good trucks to go through some of this mud. But considering, coal fly ash, like I mentioned earlier, they use it under buildings that are sinking, to dry the ground up, absorb the moisture. So if they're spraying this stuff in the air, tons of it each year, and it's a little layer each year for 30 years. Now you can go out in the woods and go and almost drive your car through there because the ground is so hard. You get a lot of water there, but you're not sinking. You don't need four-wheel drive. You can just drive right through it. But it's really, to me, it's affecting our ground. It's making the top layer very hard, and it's holding water on top of the ground. It's not getting into the ground. It's plugging everything up.
Which is why I decided to quit having a garden over the last few years, because I kept watering and watering and watering this garden, and the dirt always seemed to stay so hard.
Yeah, yep. And I don't know.
They've been spraying for 60 years now, and it has really escalated this last 7. But it's got to be affecting the ground. If it's coal fly ash, that's why you see the ground is hard. Everything's different. Puddles stay for a while, or if you do, you can water your garden and it dries up real quick, I assume. Yeah, that's the coal fly ash absorbing the water, the moisture.
Yeah, well, it's absorbing like we saw in the beakers. As time went on, it just got all gooped up and just I don't know.
After I dried up, and then I put it in water, it swelled up. It absorbed the water that was around it, and obviously it evaporated too. Normally, I guess you could say, but it absorbed the water. It swelled up and absorbed the water, and then it dried right back up.
Yeah, and if you look out after it rains or whatever, and even a couple days after, you can see exactly what we're talking about. You can just just take a look.
I was just thinking I should have played with it and put some more water back in it to see if it formed back together.
We'll do some more experiments. I want to see some more experiments with bioorganic material and this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I want to see some more of that. I want to see what exactly, let's replicate this and find out and get to the bottom of what this is.
Yeah, we're getting there. In this picture here, this is a river. I find this in a lot of different rivers, especially the real slow-moving ones in the springtime here. Remember the goo, how it looked on top of the grass, what it looked like in the bottle? Well, you can see it, some of it here along the ice, built up in there. It's that same goo. A lot of this stuff actually falls to the ground. If there's, it falls underneath, to the bottom. That's what I mean.
Creating all them bubbles.
Here in this video, I'm showing you. This is things are going to change here a little bit. We're going to show you all the foam that's created.
Wait, before we go on there, I just want to say what I meant by I want to see more of this is we're showing you this so you can go out and take these samples yourself. And this is why I say we need to see more of this, because we need more samples. We want to see more examples of this happening, so you can do it for yourself and you can show yourself like, hey, okay, this needs to change right now. Like, we need to focus our energy on the solution to this, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah, the biggest reason I've been doing all this is because I wanted to know myself. I want to know what's going on, and I spent a lot of time and a lot of research, a lot of looking around, testing, and just looking at things that people normally don't look at, and just felt compelled to show you all. But like in this river here, for instance, like our atmosphere has been so saturated, it's affecting our rivers, our lakes, and our streams. In this video clip here, I'm going to show you. You can see the bubbles here being formed in these rapids. I'll show you. And before the rapids, it's nice and calm. There's no bubbles. But let me quick show you this. See that? That's not normal. But it goes through the rapids. It creates the bubbles. They're not water bubbles. They're sudsy bubbles, and I contributed to the same stuff that you saw on the grass. Just on a, it's thick enough under water to create bubbles.
Right, absolutely, and I've seen this before as well, and I knew that it's not natural because back when I was a kid, the water did not do this at all, but now there's so much of this crap in our air and in our water and in our whole ecosystem. Like, it's starting to do this now.
It would be a bubble, a water bubble, and it would pop right away. It would not carry on down the stream. And we're going to show you some more, for instances here, that's going to blow your mind. Especially the very first video, which is from this year, 2017, on what happened here. This is the Wolf River. We do have some rapids up here, but you can see how disgusting this looks. This is in the fall.
Yeah, we actually went rafting on this river, and I could feel it. It was like gooey and like ugh. I didn't like the feeling.
But you can see there's a lot of stuff in this river, and this is in the fall, mind you.
I mean, look at that! Look at that! That's ridiculous.
But there's so much of it in here. You can see up here in the upper right. This is further down the Wolf River, about 30 miles away. I mean, you can go all the way down the whole river and see this foam everywhere. There'll be some more pictures coming up here of the same thing. Excuse me. But here's a video that was on a news report in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, just this January 2017, where we had an early thaw. Well, I'm gonna let this play for you. You can listen to it. This is actually my own video. I threw a few pictures in here, just being a little sarcastic. Everybody's gotta love sarcasm, right?
January thaw is creating a big white district on the Cedar Creek in downtown Cedarburg. I could walk there and it's like, what the heck? That is horrible. Yeah, that's like a wall. It looks like snow. But it's more like sea foam. Crazy. It's fun. Something different. I believe it's probably about 15 to 20.
Yeah, that's it.
Is this for real?
This is for real, because we seen this, something like this happen on Lake Winnebago in Oshkosh, on the south side with the ice, and it just like it kept like raising up out of the water and like crumbling over and piling up and coming up onto land, and it was kind of it was weird, man. I've never seen anything like that before. I didn't know that it happened. But then you see stuff like this all over the news and whatnot,
And they are amused by this and think it's an interesting event. Like, they don't find.
I'm sorry. Right, they should be concerned. But the funny thing is they see it every year, but every year it just becomes more and more and more. But people are so busy, they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand geoengineering and what's going on around them. They're just so busy. So they just think it's, oh, wow, this is neat.
And that's as far as they think. That's as far as they think of it.
Some people, obviously, this one right here.
Right. Wow. So I would wonder where that comes from. If there's anything upstream that's causing that to foam up further downstream, I'd be looking to see if there was factories nearby or something that was putting that in the water.
That's what I thought when I was camping on the Rat River back in like 2000. I think it was 2010. 2010. I was camping on the Rat River and actually saw this foam there, and I was wondering, man, like what is this? Is this coming from upriver? But at that point, like I kind of saw, I didn't make the connection between the chemtrails that I was seeing and the rapid water. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So now, yeah, let's continue on.
So I mean, I've been watching this stuff for 3-4 years, and I got some of my own video from a couple of years ago as I was noticing this, but I forgot what I was gonna say, but but look at the, really seen the bubbles right there. Right.
The highest I've ever seen it in 12 years. It's very impressive.
And look how big this is.
Nature at its best.
Wow.
Here's me being sarcastic.
I know this looks just like a big wall of snow behind you, but
Just because I'm laughing, that's not funny. Okay, that's literally, that's not funny. You guys, okay, we need to pay attention and we need to focus our energy on solving this issue because this is the main problem we are facing right now.
when you put a stick in it, it moves and wiggles almost like gelatin. So what's the source? It starts with the waterfall upstream of the dam.
The difference this time, I think, is that we still have ice on the creek. And so the foam, the area several hundred yards downstream from the dams is open water. The foam is generated there, and then when it hits the ice surface, it has nowhere to go.
City engineer Tom Wiese said they also did some testing.
Didn't really find anything unusual. We don't believe that it's associated with any kind of a spill.
No, you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
They tested it. Well, maybe it came up coal fly ash.
Yeah.
Maybe they think this is normal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but
Just a natural phenomenon. That's pretty cool to see. You can see it everywhere. Hillary Mantel.
look at that. See all that?
Yeah.
It's huge.
They're obviously not making the connection between what's being sprayed in the sky and then what we're seeing here.
Yeah, it's obvious that a lot of it ends up in our rivers. Everything flows right to the rivers from the land, small creeks, streams, whatever, and it eventually makes it to the river. So each year it's getting worse and worse. Now, mind you, this is 2017. These next clips we're going to back up a little bit. We're going to go back to 2015 when I was noticing this stuff. Here's a little experiment I did north of Leona, Wisconsin. There's nothing to affect this river to make any snow, or I mean make any foam bubbles or anything. As you can see right here, it's nothing but a swamp. It's all swamp water. Right here is a little waterfall, and right here is where I did a little experiment. I laid a stick across the creek. Immediately the bubbles started collecting because of that little waterfall that's just up creek here. I come back later that afternoon. It looked like this. It started building up, and then I come back 24 hours later, and you can see what's going on here. I mean, it built up just from a little waterfall up here. It's just culverts, actually, you know. But it's all swamp. There's nothing that should affect this water to make it do that.
Now that's back there behind Spirit Hill, right?
No, it's north of Leona.
Okay, no, north of Leona.
Yep.
Actually, that's where I was on the Rat River too, north of Leona. And I don't know if you ever went back there where you have that little campsite off the road.
I've been up there. Oh, yeah. But I haven't noticed it. You know, I noticed these bubbles in the foam, melting snow. There's a few other pictures coming up too, but this foam is everywhere. And this is 2015. I noticed it in 14 too, but I didn't start documenting it till 2015 because I noticed it was happening in more and more places, or as I was getting to them, I guess. Yeah, and it's getting worse. I mean, when I was a kid, you'd never see that. I wouldn't even go swimming in something like that, you know. And I'd never seen that when I was 15 years old. But it's getting worse every year, you know. And like them people on that news there. But here's a friend of mine's picture. I asked him to send them if I could have this. But he said when it rained, this is what happened at his gutters.
And I've seen this quite a bit. Being a window cleaner, we clean gutters as well, and I've seen this quite a bit as well.
You know, just rainwater. Okay, so it seems obvious it might be in our rain. You know, as it's raining, it's collecting it on its way down, like the snow does. This stuff wasn't. Oh, I think he might have gotten it tested. I'm not sure. But here's rain, 2016. A tree in the backyard. It's raining right now. This is the tree. It's leaned just enough.
Here's that
Where?
foam. You can see the water drip right here. Okay, catch it. Drip, 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 drip. It's just dripping right there. It's creating that foam, just like it does in the rivers, lakes, and streams, wherever there's a waterfall.
But here it is on the sides of the trees. I noticed here, I took these pictures because I noticed the water was coming off the tree and hitting the side of the tree. So wherever on these trees the rainwater was dripping, there was foam. It was creating foam everywhere, just from it raining. One day it was raining also, and I went on a trip to go look at some of these lakes. The wind was blowing it, and it was still raining at this time when I took these pictures. But all the way around this lake, this foam blew up along the shore. It was just everywhere. You can see here where the wind blew a chunk. It was just, you can see where it rolled right across here. It stayed together. You know, some people would say it's from, you know, the fish, dead fish or something like that, or I don't know.
Some really obscure, silly answer. Like, how does that even work? Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, it's like what we're seeing in the skies equals what we're seeing here.
And as you can see here, this looks very the same as the stuff that just happened in 2017 in the first video. Here I took some samples, but you can see what it looks like on the inside. It's just, and it was some sick stuff. This is Pelican Lake. I drove about 45 miles away, and it's still raining. The wind was blowing it into this canal here. A lot of the foam where it collected back here, where you'll see, and a lot of this just from the rain and the waves. Pretty, you know, the stuff's everywhere.
I mean, people, all you got to do is just look. Like, oh, just look, man. Just open your eyes, look.
It didn't rain this day, but it was windy, but the waves created some foam on this lake here in Leona.
Now, when I was a kid, it didn't do this. This is back in the 90s when I was a kid. Like, obviously, it didn't do this when you guys were kids either. Like, you're older than me.
No, and when it did 25 years ago, it was just very little. It was not anything near like this. This is a lot. Here's videos from earlier. Hold on a minute here. But you can see, this is from just melting snow. You can see, notice the color of it. You know, here's a black top. So it's just melting snow.
Yeah. It looks like the color of mercury. That's what she said.
Really? That's the color of mercury? Here, this is 2017. This is a fresh snow. I think we got a few inches. You can see here, and you have to hit these areas at the right time before the stuff sinks. But you can see the color here, and this is the goo. This happens to be an area where the water's not moving very fast. It just got done snowing, and as you can see here, this stuff's in the snow. I'm sure the river actually colored it too some, but this is in Milwaukee, 2017. People went to work right, I can't remember what day it was. It was this winter, 2017, but people in the offices were looking out their windows and they saw this, and they thought it was a chemical spill, but it just got done snowing there too. You can see a few inches right on top here, fresh snow. We'll go through these pictures here. And this stuff's in our snow. You can see how it's folding up together here. It looks gooey. Got a few more pictures here, but it's weird, you know. And there's this one here. I mean, just look how it folds itself together. Um, this beginning, our very first snowfall this winter, I had snow come off the hood of my truck. Our very first snow was only a few inches deep, thick, but as it slid off, it took 2 hours for it to slide off the hood of my truck, but it folded like a blanket, never breaking. So the snow was stuck together. Again, some more strange phenomenon.
Like an underlying layer of goo that was keeping the snowflakes together. This stuff isn't even real snow. You know, I don't know. I mean, look at what. When did that happen? When did that start happening? I mean, can any of us really truly remember?
That's 2016. You know, this stuff just recently started happening. I've seen where it come off a slide and folded. I lost that picture. But there's been other evidence where we have folding snow. I have some pictures of my own where snow's coming off a roof, and it just hung there halfway off the roof, 2 feet or a foot thick, and just held itself there. It never broke apart.
Yeah, because I've noticed this stuff a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2014, 13, somewhere around there, about that. Like this folding of the snow. I don't know, it's so weird.
But you know, it's just some evidence. I have a ton of pictures. That's that same video. I just kind of put something back on the screen here. But I mean, that's a lot of foam. I mean, that's how, like that lady said, she's never seen it this worse. Or I mean, this bad. This worse. This worse? She's never seen it this bad. And that is a lot of foam. Look at that. That's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's, you know, just some evidence that pictures and stuff I've collected and things I've noticed. Just kind of wanted to show you guys, maybe, and do a little bit of explanation on it. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, so we're gonna close this up. Thank you for tuning in, and like I said, links are in the description. Facebook, Twitter, blah blah blah. MPCA, earn Bitcoin daily. Man, if you ain't on that Bitcoin train, you might want to get up on it. Don't rely on it. Just use it as a way to get where you need to be, and then that's all it has to be. Don't go chase it. You know what I'm saying? So, as for solutions, what we can do is detox our body of heavy metals. And how do we do that? Well, we got a few sources. We got the zeolites. I'll find some sources for that, and I'll put them in the description. We also have eat a diet full of seaweed and rice, brown basmati rice. You know, you want brown rice, or eat some wild rice, like, because we come from, you know, Indian country, so that's where we were told to go, is find the food that grows on the water. So eat some rice, man. Rice will do you good, and use that Himalayan salt, because that's got 84 essential minerals for your body. So it's all about watching what you put into your body and what you don't put into your body, and as well as you got certain things like the power of the breath is absolutely incredible. And if you're a non-believer, that's fine. That's your fault, I guess, for not paying attention to what cognitions you should be paying attention to. So, without further ado, I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Peace.